Okay, these are some sample answers for the English language reading paper Higher Tier May 2012. The samples and mark scheme are on the website if you want to take a look. Okay, so the first question is explain why foxes became so popular. This is similar to your list question, your describe question. You're literally just finding the key facts from the piece of text. So Disney gave him a heroic status through cartoon, 1 tick, and advertisers gave him an image as an amusing fellow, 1 tick. John Mansfield's poem, Reynard the Fox, also encouraged a compassionate view of the fox, 1 more tick. The fox was thought of as lovable as he had previously been seen as a victim of oppression, 2 ticks there, lovable and victim of oppression. So you've got the full 5 for that. Second one, according to Adam Edwards, why have foxes become so common in towns? Again, this is just asking you to list, explain those bits where you just need to find the factual information from the text. The fox began to find shelter in suburban gardens and there was no shortage of food. You could find food in bins and discarded containers. So you've got 2 ticks there, the suburban gardens and food. The fox had become used to humans, 1 tick, and has adapted to traffic and other city centre movements. The fox has no predators in the city, so you've got full marks from those 2 responses there. If this was a foundation tier paper, you would purely bullet point the points you're making. So Disney, actually I think I'll just put a bullet point in that one. Okay, so we've got that one there. Advertisers gave him an image of an amusing fellow. This one here. Fox was sort of lovable. And there you go. So you've got your main points there. Okay, so you've got your 5 main points. That's purely all you would do for foundation, is just bullet point them. Obviously you need to be writing in full sentences for the higher paper. So they all need to be put back together. Okay, so that first question, explain, list, describe, why, anything that has words along those lines will just be asking you to list the facts from the text that you found. Okay, we've got a how does question here. So how does Adam Edwards try to turn his readers against foxes? If you've watched my other videos on reading paper, you'll see that I refer to how does so-and-so persuade. However, I've said that the word persuade won't always be used. This one is try to turn his readers against foxes. So there's a point of view indicated there, and the author is trying to get us to see that one point of view. So the writer demonises the fox. He uses factual information about fox attacks, but uses carefully selected verbs such as mauled and savagely to create a fierce image for the readers. Okay, there you've got an overview point to start the extract off, which is a really good thing to do if you can, just to kind of summarise their point of view towards the fox. He uses factual information, so I've got something from the forest there, but uses carefully selected verbs such as mauled and savagely. So you've got your 2 quotes to create a fierce image for the readers. You've considered what image is created for the reader. With the quotes, you've seen that I've just used single words. That's all you need to do. Don't feel you have to quote the whole sentence around a word. Feel free to take it out of context and analyse it in that way. He further convinces readers that foxes are dangerous by referring to their beastly side. You've got a quote there that I've integrated. He references the history of the fox in literature to convince the reader that the dangers foxes present are nothing new. Although he uses opinions in the piece, they are effectively designed to persuade the reader. Edwards uses the shorter sentence with alliteration for fun to create a strong evil image of the fox. Edwards uses listing to emphasise the extent of attacks taking place. He lists a woman in Fulham, a baby boy in Dartford, and a young girl in Islington. His use of children and places from all over the country both serve to suggest to the reader that these attacks are possible anywhere to anyone. As you can see, the explanations aren't always too detailed for every single point, but there's a thread of the reader throughout, which is what you should aim for. So aim for an overall overview comment, and then select each of the bits that you'd like to look at. Aim for 5. If you only manage 4, but they're all really detailed in terms of analysis, you should be absolutely fine with 4. Okay, so that's a how does question and how it's all being put together. In this paper, for the higher paper, this third question was also a how does, so I'm going to show you another example of that. If this was a foundation paper, you'd need less connectives in between the different points you were making. Okay, so something like he further convinces wouldn't be necessary. You could just say he uses, he states, all of that kind of thing. This word although could come out. So you don't necessarily have to connect all your different points. You can just make the different points of analysis. They don't have to thread together. You would still have to write in full sentences at this point. You still need your evidence and you still need your explanation. So that's the same across both tiers. Okay, so this question, how does Professor Stephen Harris try to prove that the urban fox has found a place in our hearts? Again, you've got that try to. That might be an indication of persuasion. And again, we've got a point of view. Okay, Harris begins his article by using the contrast of love and hate, which emphasises the love the public feel for foxes. Okay, so you've got a point made there. You've used your terminology, you've got quotes, and you've analysed how the reader feels. He uses the word adore to further emphasise this love. This is an additional point. It doesn't need any further explanation because I've tagged it onto the end. Now, if this one was used in the foundation paper, you'd actually have to analyse that itself because you're not using the connectives of further emphasising. It's a less sophisticated response. In considering our reaction to foxes, alliteration is used in stop and stare to create an image of our reaction of awe. Okay, that's it. Alliteration is used frequently in this writing to create images of the close relationship between foxes and humans. In the anecdote about the cat flap, the fox is described as having calmly climbed into the kitchen. This creates an image that does not lead to fear of the fox. Okay, this is the ideal piece of analysis. You've got your term, you've got your quote, and you've got full analysis in terms of how the reader feels about the image created. He uses humour to create a pleasant image of an urban fox on the underground. What's missing there is the quote and the level of analysis. Edwards ends the article with the use of direct address our to involve the audience in the love of foxes if they weren't already convinced. So this example here, along with this example here, is what you should be aiming for in either foundation or higher, because you've got it fully analysed, you've got the quote there, you've got the reader's reaction, and you've used a terminology. I have said this in the other video. In these questions, how does persuade, you are going to be looking for De Forest. Don't feel worried if you're just looking at single words or phrases, or if you're looking at facts and opinions in general, rather than maybe the specific techniques. You don't have to do specific techniques throughout. You can mix it with some of the facts and opinions, etc., and more general techniques. Okay, so the final question in both papers will be to compare and contrast what these two texts say about the urban fox. The foundation paper, you will have it slightly easier. You'll have headings where you have what one author says about this, what the second author says about this, similarities between what they say about this. So you've actually got it very separate in terms of how the extracts are compared and brought together. With the higher paper, you'll have to do the comparison yourself. So this one is compare and contrast what these two texts say about the urban fox. The threat foxes are to humans. So the two writers have strongly opposing views on the threat foxes posed to humans. Adam Edwards says that they are a significant threat, whilst Harris suggests they are not. Okay, so you've got your first point of comparison there, 2 points. Edwards sees them as a serious threat to children with use of the story about baby twins who were bit and mauled, whereas Harris merely describes a harmless, curious nip at the baby. Okay, you've got another comparison there. Edwards uses words such as attack and maul, whilst Harris states that they cause no serious injury. So you've got another set of comparisons there. In this, try and aim for 2 to 3 in each of your headings. Once again, the authors disagree on this threat, so this is the threat foxes have to other animals. Edwards suggests the fox is a vicious predator, whilst Harris is less concerned about the threat. Harris states that they eat worms, not words, worms, insects and rats, whilst Edwards suggests the fox kills for fun. He describes captive penguins being killed and the Queen's flamingos being decapitated. Harris suggests that they will eat a small pet, but does not use the word kill, as Edwards does in reference to pet rabbits. Okay, so you've got comparison all the way through, integrated quotes, lots of comparative words. Check the spelling, punctuation and grammar area of the website to find the connectives mat for connectives to link your ideas together. So these are sample responses. Take a look at the mark schemes for other exam papers to put your own sample responses together. This was for the higher tier May 2012, although some tips were included for the foundation paper as well.